Taiwan pretty much has a monopoly on that market.
Apple is having its chips being manufactured by TSMC.
I think without these subsidies, the U.S. hasn't been a competitive choice for building chip fabs.
Over 30 years, Taiwan underwent massive industrialization in what has become known as the Taiwan Miracle.
Welcome to Talk Maniac, where we uncover the stories behind the headlines. And today's story might just change the way you see your phone, your laptop, even the world economy. Not long ago, Taiwan was just a small island nation, known more for fishing boats and rice paddies than microchips. Fast forward to today, and Taiwan is the beating heart of the global tech industry. At the center of this transformation, a quiet man, a government with vision, and a company called TSMC. This story isn't just about semiconductors, it's about vision, it's about setbacks, and how one man's journey, combined with a nation's desperation, changed the world. Let's begin. Ningbo, China. Morris Chang was born as the world teetered on the edge of chaos. In his childhood, he would flee war-torn provinces, cross burning cities, and survive World War II. But through it all, he loved numbers, he loved puzzles, and he loved learning. By 1949, he had arrived in the United States with just a suitcase and big dreams. He entered Harvard, then switched to MIT to pursue engineering. And yet, he failed his PhD qualifying exam. Twice. Crushed, he left academia and joined Sylvania Electronics, a company barely anyone remembers now. But there, Morris first touched the future transistors. The world didn't know it yet, but those tiny pieces of silicon would one day run our entire civilization. And Morris? He was just getting started.
That to be my most exciting year.
In 1958, Morris joined Texas Instruments. TI was struggling to produce integrated circuits. The yield was below 10%, meaning 90% of chips were defective. Management wanted to shut it down. But Morris had a different idea. He restructured the entire process, implementing quality control, precision manufacturing, and systematic problem solving. Yields soared, and so did his reputation. By the 1970s, Morris was running TI's entire semiconductor division. He helped design some of the first silicon wafers and pioneered a new era in chip miniaturization. But Morris was an engineer, not a salesman. TI wanted consumer electronics, boom boxes, TVs, wrist radios. Morris didn't believe in flashy gadgets. He wanted to build infrastructure. Eventually, he was sidelined, quietly removed from top management. It was a crushing fall. In 1984, Morris left TI and joined General Instrument as president and COO. It was a business-first company, focused on mergers, not invention. He lasted less than a year. In his 50s, Morris found himself a tech pioneer without a lab, a leader without a team. But around the globe, a small island was watching, a government with no semiconductor industry, a nation surrounded by threats, and a vision to bet everything on tech. In the 1950s, Taiwan was poor, isolated, and politically fragile. It relied on American aid to survive. But by the 1970s, its leaders, especially technocrats like Minister K.T. Lee, had a bold plan. Don't compete. Leapfrog. They invested in education, built vocational schools, and sent top students abroad on government scholarships, many of them in engineering. They returned with new skills, but no industry to join. Taiwan needed a spark, a founder, a leader who understood semiconductors. They offered Morris Chang a blank canvas, the chance to build something from nothing. He accepted. In 1987, with $110 million in seed funding from Taiwan's government, TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, was born. But Morris knew this wouldn't be easy. The Western model was vertically integrated. Intel, for example, designed, manufactured, and sold their own chips. Morris had a different vision, a pure-play foundry that would manufacture chips for other companies. No internal designs, no conflicts of interest. This way, startups, universities, and even big brands could all access world-class production. A radical idea. Intel said no, TI said no. Only Philips agreed, investing $58 million and sharing key patents. TSMC was now real, but its future was far from guaranteed. In In 1987, Taiwan had almost no chip engineers, no fabs, no intellectual property, no supply chains. Morris recruited globally. He wrote to engineers in the US, Europe, and Japan, especially Taiwanese expats who had no opportunity to innovate back home. One by one they returned. He trained thousands of engineers in cleanroom protocols. He instilled in them discipline, precision, and above all, confidentiality. Morris knew TSMC would only work if clients trusted them completely. No leaks, no spying, no shortcuts. By 1994, TSMC was producing chips for over 30 companies, many of them tiny startups. But one day, those startups would become giants. Fast forward to 2014, Apple had a problem. Samsung was both its chip supplier and its main rival. They needed independence. TSMC delivered. They built a dedicated fabrication plant for Apple. One line, one client, absolute secrecy. The A8 chip, powering the iPhone 6, was TSMC's breakthrough. That year, Apple became its biggest client, and every chip after, from the A9 to today's M3, has been made by TSMC. While Apple dominated phones, Nvidia was quietly reinventing the future. Jensen Huang, another Taiwanese-born visionary, believed in GPUs. TSMC partnered with Nvidia on each new generation, shrinking chips to new extremes. And when AI research exploded, Nvidia's chips, made by TSMC, became the gold standard. Meanwhile, AMD bet its future on TSMC's ability to produce 7nm and 5nm chips. Intel, once the king, struggled at 14nm for years. For the first time in history, Intel fell behind. Today, over 90% of the world's most advanced chips are made by one company, TSMC, and over 60% of global semiconductor revenue flows through Taiwan. This has created what experts call the Silicon Shield. China wants Taiwan, the US wants to protect Taiwan, and the world wants chips. TSMC is now a strategic asset, not just for Taiwan but for the global economy. It's why both America and Japan are investing billions to build backup fabs. But none come close to matching TSMC's scale, efficiency, or talent, yet.
From China, the island of Taiwan is the world's largest producer of electronic chips, a situation that is creating geopolitical tensions.
台湾是中国，台湾更是被外族侵占。
If we imagine China taking over Taiwan's semiconductor industry, the worldwide economic shutdown. Taiwan with semiconductor is probably the best defense, has a silicon shield.
Since the 1980s, the United States and Europe have been off-shipping the production of electronic chips.
The globalization trend was driven by differentials in labor costs. It was simply cheaper to hire workers.
Aware of their dependence, Americans and Europeans are facing a race against time to produce their own chips.
So what do we take from all this? A country with no oil, no natural resources, surrounded by enemies, turned itself into a tech empire, using only brains, discipline, and belief. And one man, rejected from Harvard, demoted from Texas Instruments, wrote the blueprint for the future. Morris Chang didn't just build a company, he built a global nervous system, powering phones, satellites, AIs, and supercomputers. This is the story of Taiwan, the story of TSMC, the story of human potential, and if they can do it, what's stopping you? Thank you for watching Talk Maniac. If you found this story inspiring, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it. Because some stories deserve to be told, and some truths can change the world.